Hello Tubesters, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're going to be having a look at my new resin 3D printer. It's the Elegoo Mars Pro. You'll see it plastered all over YouTube. I've been looking at resin printing for probably about a year, probably more than that. I didn't think I could devote enough time to it, and I thought probably price-wise they're going to be out of my price league really. I wanted a resin one rather than the FDM ones, which are the spool of plastic wire, for want of a better word, and they build from the bottom up. You know, your computer chip tells it what to build, and obviously it brings it up in like striations, in slices. The resin is built from the plate, and the plate goes down into the resin, and more or less almost like a mobile phone camera well, not camera but mobile phone anyway, will light it up, and that's how the resin cures, and it builds it up in slices again. Anyway, I thought it's all a bit beyond me. You know what I'm like. I'm still having problems with plastic tank tracks, which you'll see on a video coming up soon. So what was Gav going to be doing with a 3D printer? So I kept putting it off, and also I wanted to see, it's still, if not in its infancy, it obviously hasn't been around for a long time, and we know technology just jumps literally year by year. So I thought, well, I'll give it a bit longer. And then I had a visit from a good marrow of this channel, Ian Aitken. He was coming up from South Wales to further north, and it was really good of him to message me and say, Gav, we've never met before, any chance it's alright if I pop in for an hour on my way? And it was great because he had to do about a 40-minute detour to get to me. So that was a really enjoyable visit. Cheers, Ian. And yes, we were all socially distanced. He did come in a hazmat suit and everything. But we were talking figures as we do. We're both painters, or figure painters, and he's big into Star Wars Legion at the moment, and he'd said he got a 3D printer, and he was having to go up printing different bits and pieces and terrain, ships, I don't know, whatever. Ian, you know what my mind's like, it's gone now. Whatever Ian was printing, obviously figures I suppose. And I'd said to him at the time, I said I wouldn't mind having a go, but I would also like to have a go at my own stuff. I've tried sculpting in clay, sculpting clay and whatever, and I'm just not good enough at it. I can get bits and then it all just goes, it just goes monsterish, especially when you're not trying to do a monster. And I could just see possibilities with it. Do I think it's going to save me any money? I don't think so. It's not so much yes, I can get a file, and if I want 30 of the same figure, I can print 30 of the same figure off. So yes, I suppose cost effectiveness, that's a good point. But I did it more for the fact that the amount of figures, and I'm also using the 1:35 scale diorama figures that I do, when I do a diorama. But you can print off concrete barriers, you can print off fire surrounds, house radiators, weapons, for that side of it. But on the figure side, which I obviously like to paint, there's loads, especially like the fantasy figures and that. I've seen elves riding grizzly bears, and just really good stuff that you'd like to paint. I don't do a lot of fantasy, but I will be now. Not so much historicals. I was surprised how little decent quality historicals were around. I suppose that the market, it's market driven, and on these STL files that you download, majority of it is fantasy and well, that type of thing, or cyberpunk, and you name it, steampunk, you name it, that type of stuff is popular, but historicals not so much, in fact very little. But you also get some of that. You can print the larger figures in sections. Do not get me wrong, it will probably take you a week. I mean, I've been looking at, they'll give you the timings, the STL files that you'd buy. They'll say like a leg, 5 hours. 5 hours that printer's going. And that's for a leg, or 2 legs, I'm not sure. The head, an hour and a half, you know, you name it. So if you're after a large, I'm trying to get this in camera, a large scale figure, you know, it's going to probably cost you a bottle and a half of resin, and the resin's probably about £20 a bottle, plus postage. Yeah, it's not cheap sometimes. I'm not saying that is. I don't know how. I've not done any of those figures, large scale figures before, but that intrigues me as well as a painter. You know, for me, the reason I wanted to get the printer in the end was I kept looking at like My Mini Factory, where it's one of the reputable places to go. No connection with them, and it's just the different figures I can get. I've seen some stuff that I wouldn't normally paint. I've seen vampire families with carts, which I really want to get. I might be one of the first ones I get. I've seen obviously elves. I love the elves riding polar bears and grizzly bears and elk. You know, brilliant. I've always liked the dwarves, and I want to really push non-metallic metal. And you can scale these up to 75mm. So, yeah, you know, there's a lot of possibilities for it. There's a lot of hard work in it. And I don't mean so much brain power. A lot of the ones that I'm going to get, hopefully, are pre-supported, which means all the little sprues, more or less, that hold the figure up. Bearing in mind these are being printed upside down. You can obviously, you get somewhere you buy them, and you have to put your own supports in. Well, Elegoo has a program called Cheetu Box, and that will help you scale and put your supports in. You can ask it to put supports in, and it will do. You can put your own supports in where you think they. If you don't put supports in, things won't either be made or they'll be misformed because the resin's obviously hanging upside down, and it needs some support just while it cures for the first small amount of time. You can tell I don't know what I'm talking about. Most things in life, wife tells me that all the time. But it's so you're looking at all you guys out there that don't have a printer. I just wanted to give you an idea of what it's cost me and what you could do with it. So on Amazon last week when I bought mine, I've only started printing this week. Gav didn't order any resin. Right, you'll need your resin printer. Mine at the moment was on sale last week for £170, which normally they retail at £240, something like that. I think it was a bad price. You get your printer, you get a box, as it says, with some tools in, which Allen keys and that. You get a side cutter for snipping off the supports. A few free gloves and paint. They use for filtering where you filter like household paint, to get the chunks out of if you're going to reuse it. Well, you want to reuse your resin, it's expensive, so you use one of these filters, pour it back in your bottle. That can be messy when you miss the bottle like Gav did. But yeah, 170 quid. You can get water washable resin now through Elegoo. I'm only going by using the Elegoo stuff at the moment because I don't know any different. That's around £30 a bottle, I believe, with free postage, or £34 free postage, which means obviously the postage isn't even put up, so you'll have to work out price right as that. I've been using the normal resin because I've already got a 5 litre bottle of IPA in the shed that I use for. Don't use that much, but use it for the models, when I need to use stuff with the airbrush and things like that. So you'll need some IPA or water, or your resin needs to be water washable, and there's also a couple of cleaning products you can use instead of the IPA, because IPA stinks, let's face it. You need a light of some description to cure the resin. you can, some people use these little jewellery lights that go over a small piece of jewellery, because obviously people make resin jewellery. They use nail lights that people put their nails under, and whatever that does with them, cures them. I, in the end, just went for a little square. It was about 13 quid, a little square LED light. You can get torches, but I wasn't sure how long, you know, I'd be curing stuff on the larger scale figures. So I bought this. It means I can make a little box, put some foil inside it, and you know, it'll do the job for me. Was there anything else that I bought? I bought extra filters, and I mean the gloves because of obviously COVID, the gloves are like about 50% more than they ever used to be. So I bought some of those. Your files, it really just depends what you want to download really. Some files are absolutely free. You probably might have to do a bit of work with them, putting supports in and stuff like that. At the moment I just want to print off some pre-supported figures, and I'll probably pay no more than they're in dollars, $5, $7 from my mini factory. I'll probably buy a couple of those, or maybe a bundle of figures, maybe £10 or £15, and just have a go enjoying the painting of those, you know, and they're pre-supported, so hopefully I don't have to have too many miscasts or anything like that. And then onto the diorama side, once I've got a bit more confident that the printer's going all right, then I might, they're usually, a lot of those are usually free, so they probably will need supports putting on them and things. But yeah, that's why I did it. Not so much for how, for your time, for I don't know how much it costs in electricity. My wife keeps asking me, and I keep stonewalling her. You know, it's not so much for getting cheaper things. I don't know if that really works out any different really than if you were buying something from Games Workshop or Perry's if it was historicals, you know, something like that. I don't know. I just wanted to be able to access figures that I never will be able to access unless I print them off myself. A lot of these companies will print them for you, by the way, but yeah, I just wanted to have access to more figures, different figures, and just challenge myself a bit really. You know, I'm not very good at technology, as we all know if you've ever followed this channel, and it's just something different. I'm not doing my own stuff at the moment. I am going to get that Blender program at some stage later on in the year, which I believe is free, or at least part of it is, as usual. And I might have a go, well I will have a go at doing my own stuff, but that's time intensive, and at the moment with all the little projects between the paid work and all the little figure painting and modelling and whatever I've got on, I just cannot put any more time to that. So at the moment just enjoying downloading dragons. Not yet, I'll be downloading dragons in the next week, in the next few days, dragons or polar bears or whatever. Yeah, I'll be enjoying that. So, oh, this is what they give you a test rook. It did come off, and it came off the build plate. These are notorious, tiny little rook here. That took around 2 hours, hour and a half. We'll say 2 hours. It's not very big. You can see it in my fingers. But I don't know if you can see. I'm not going to do any close-ups. There's loads of these. You'll see loads of proper Elegoo Pro and different resin printers videos on the internet. This is really just me chatting about another phase in the in Gav's painting and building world. First time I tried to print that, I had an ominous it wasn't doing anything. Oh no, I've killed the machine already. That was scary. I left it 3 minutes going and I gathered. Where were we? Somebody at the door. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah. So yeah, I printed this off. That was it. Printed the rook off. Machine wouldn't just stuck in the resin. Nothing happening. And I'd more or less gathered what I've done. The build plate has to be adjusted with a slip of paper underneath it, and I'm thinking I've gone too far down, because although there was a bit of, it's, you know, you don't want to have too much gap as you pull the paper out. You just have to judge it, you really do. So yeah, it was just a case of taking a, you know me, head explodes. I thought to myself, no. I said to myself when I buy this, no meltdowns. It is what it is. You know, you'll learn it one way or the other. And I tried it twice, and same buzzing noise. The worst bit is having to get all the resin out. Again, missed the bloody bottle. Resin all over my little tray that I was putting everything in. Resin smells, no matter what they tell you on these videos, saying, oh, there's hardly any smell to it. I do believe these people must have been given a free one, because there is a smell to it. It doesn't kill. Well, I hope it don't kill you. Gav's not around next week for the next video. Yeah, you know, I've got the windows open. You know, you could even have the fan going on my spray booth if I wanted to. But there is a smell to it. I spray lacquer, and that smells worse to me. So you'd have to make your own minds up on that. But yeah, so I clear everything up, and I thought, right, I'm not going to print anything else today because I'll split the dummy. Let's just readjust the build plate at least. So we'll go again with fresh eyes in them, you know, tomorrow. And that's what I did. I readjusted the build plate and just hoped that again, you have to stick this piece of paper under. It's got a little computer on the front, and or LCD screen, whatever they call it, I don't know. And you do all the stuff. And I sat there praying to the gods of resin printers the next day as it went down. I'm going, please move, please go up and show me on the little screen that you're actually printing something. And it did. And yeah, there we go, one little resin rook. Now these are notorious for sticking to the build plate, and they give you a little free plastic spatula and even a metal free spatula as well. People, you see so many videos of people going chink with these different spatulas, and so I'd joined a Facebook group, and I'd read all the, you know, frequently asked questions, and they said stick your build plate in the freezer even for 15 minutes, and they will come off. So I thought, I'm not even going to try it. I'll just try it just to see, but it's going to be melted on or whatever, and it came straight off. Hey, result. But yeah, I'm just going to give you a quick look at my proud little printer, and we'll leave it at that. But yeah, another string to Gav's bow. You'll be seeing some resin 3D printed figures coming up in hopefully in the next week or so. If this one took around 2 hours or 1 hour 40 minutes, I really can't remember now. But if that little rook took that long, I've seen some lovely stone trolls, Lord of the Rings-esque, which are slightly obviously bigger than the 32mm fantasy figures that they're supposed to be around. And I'm really tempted to get one of them to download, because they look really nice. But if that took 2 hours, I'm sure that troll's going to take probably about 6 hours. We'll see. That's your only other thing. They're not quick, you know. If you're expecting something, you know, like a 28mm War Games figure to be printed off in 15 minutes or so, you've got no chance. Not with these resin printers anyway. From what I'm told and watching people's videos, they're a lot quicker than they used to be. But we're a year or two away, I imagine, before that really speeds up any quicker. So you've got to have patience. As I say, although it's got a new carbon filter, so people say, and this, that and the other, I work in the same room as a resin printer. Now it's summertime here in the UK at the moment, I can put the windows open. Winter time, it's going to be a lot colder in here. So you've got to be prepared for the smell, unless you've got a garage or something like that to put it in, you know, which I don't. So there are sacrifices. If you want a resin print, you've got to go into it with an open mind. I would say watch a lot of videos first, not rambling ones like mine, people that are telling you concise points. but even then, Elegoo were giving a lot of free printers out to a lot of the, I would imagine, obviously not to scruffy little lurks like me with 1,000 subs, you know, I imagine you have to be well up the tree, but I'm always sceptical at that type of thing. You know, I like to see the bad sides as well as the good sides. As I say, so far with one tiny rook printed, good sides are, I've got a tiny rook printed, which means if it comes out as well as that does, because this is a test thing, it does all the different, it's got all the different shapes, and the inside there's a tiny little chain, you know, with all the links in, and it's fantastic what it can do. So if you can do that with a you know, a figure, an elf or something, then I'm more than happy. So I've got what I wanted. You know, I've seen millions of videos. All right, 10 or 20. I knew what I was getting into. If they'd have been around the £300-400 mark, I wouldn't have been able to do it. But 170 quid was achievable for me, and I didn't want to buy. There's on eBay. There's a lot of people selling second-hand ones that people have returned, and they'll say we've done nothing to them. You take the chance of what they are, you know. And you might say 40, 50 quid, but at 170 quid, it's just easier to buy, in my opinion, buy a new one, at least, unless you're really technically minded and you know you can troubleshoot. Because a lot of these will be given back to companies just because people, like, I had that buzzing noise, but instead of persevering with it a bit, it's more, oh, this is broke, give it back. But yeah, pros are, you can. I'm disappointed there aren't as many historical figures, but I was actually getting more for the fantasy figures this time than the historicals, because historicals I paint all the time, and I can get those, you know, you're painting regiments of foot or whatever, you know, you don't need individual type figures as such. So yeah, pros are, it's small and concise, relatively. You print what you want to print within reason. It's got its height limits, obviously, width limits. So if you want to do a large scale, I'm just clutching at straws here, I don't know, 90mm, 120mm, bigger even, which people do. You see some of these fantastic, really large, I'm doing this again, really large painted figures. You're going to have to be prepared to do a lot of prints, probably use up at least a bottle of resin at 20 odd. You'd have probably spent $25 on the STL file. You're probably looking again 25 quid or more on resin, depending on what you want to use. So and a lot of time, you know. If you, they're not overly noisy, but you've still got, it's a printer, it sounds like a printer. I'm saying, you know, woo, up, down. People print at night. There's no way my missus is going to be putting up with that going away at night. So, yeah. But you do get to print what you want to print. I've seen sailing, you know, I like my Napoleonic sailing ships, and I'm talking the little tiny war games ones here. There's stuff like that on there. It will only get better for STL files, you know, there's a whole range of stuff that's out there. As I say, some of the drawbacks on it, they can be smelly-ish, but without being a deal breaker, for me anyway. You know, you can smell the resin, but I'm not choking on it, I'm not coughing my lungs up on, you know, but yes, take a bit of time. They're smelly. All right, there's a smell to them. Takes a bit of time to print what you want to print. You've also got to take into account the power and that you're using. That's about it, really, I think. And obviously, if you want to buy your files, you've got to buy your files as well. You can get some lovely figures for $3, $5. Don't do work in dollars, but you know, $3, $5. I'm going to say, let's just say pounds. It's easier. £3, £5, and obviously you can buy bundles of figures, like your little army or whatever, for £30, £50 if you've got the money. But unlike a box of figures for £30, where yes, you're cleaning up and sticking together and painting, you're printing all these yourself, so you've got to have the time to print them, then you've got to have the time to cut all those supports off and clean the figures up, and before obviously you can get to paint them. So there's a massive trade-off, and it's something you've either got to be into or not. Right, we'll just have a quick look at the printer in question. Right guys, sorry if you can hear the rain in the background. Not much I can do about that. We've got the odd showers in the last couple of days. That's my printer. You can see a bottle of resin at the side of it in its box. That's the size of the printer. You stick your little file, you know what I'm like, memory stick, whatever in there, that lights up. Take the plastic off. The rubber seal on there is useless. You'll need to put some silicone in to stick it down, otherwise it keeps falling off. That's a build plate in question, goes up and down into a resin tank there. That's about all that you really can say with that. There's no point me doing anything with it. That's said box of, as they call it, toolkit. Right guys, there we go. Sorry about the pretty rubbish look at the printer there. There's a million and one better ones. They've got all the fancy lighting up, you know, all those type of big hitting channels. Go and check those out for a proper look at the printer and what they will put everything out, show you it working and everything. Just showing you my humble little guy here. Hopefully, as I say, within the next couple of weeks we'll be starting to see some form of resin printed figures either started to get painted, or at least I'll be saying, hey, look what I printed. Coming up, I've been promising for ages, we've got the Napoleonic 28mm Dragoons, which need just to have the colour mounted, and they are ready for a photograph and a video and wrapped up, waiting to go off. The client said could I hold on to them while I'm painting his last unit of infantry up and then post them out together. So I'll be showing you some Napoleonic French infantry, front rank 28mm, painted up as well. Not all of them yet, but I've got probably about 16 or more painted by now. The 1:35 scale German 38T tank. I've had a few problems with the tracks when, don't I? Did most of it on the one side and I just couldn't get the others to stick together, and I just put it aside late last night and just said, no more for tonight. I'm going to have a go after I've made this video. And that's so once I've got both tracks on, then we'll have an update on that, because there's decals on and some weathering done to it as well. But hopefully you'll see it. If you see it this week, it means I've managed to get the tracks on. What else? Have I got anything else that I needed to? There was a couple of other things I needed to tell you, and they've gone completely out of my head. Yeah, I've got a couple of channel shout outs to do. Probably tomorrow. I was going to do another video, but I'm running out of batteries now, so yeah. Hope you're all well. I haven't really had this, more of a ramble than anything in it. Probably will put Elegoo Mars Ramble just to put people off, because if people just come to that name and they don't know what this channel's about, they'll just not understand. So look after yourselves. Hope it all's going well with you. Tom in Florida, keep your head down, Mara, with that I reckon coming your way. And I think that's about it, guys. So yeah, a couple more videos coming up this week. Been a bit quiet. It's only because, as I say to you guys, one, I like to give you a rest, and two, if it just depends where I am with things, if it's worth showing. You know, the printer was worth heralding. You know, Gav's got a printer, and you would have seen the Napoleonic Dragoons. It's just that when the client said hold them back, I held back doing the colour because I wanted to get stuck into doing the figures, blah blah blah. But yeah, so that's all done and dusted. I haven't forgotten about doing a couple of tutorials. I'm pushing to get this last unit done for the client, so that's us finished until December or January. That'll come around quick enough. December or January next year. December, obviously. I've actually got his figures waiting, but he wants them done in December, January, February, March. How long it takes me to paint. I'll be saying the same thing in June. But yeah, we've got those. We've got these figures on the go. Sean O from Sean O's World of Figures asked me to have a quick show how I do that non-metallic metal that I did on the 30-year war figures. I will do that. As I say, there's no secrets on the channel particularly. If somebody does want to see something, if I've got the time and the stuff to do it, I will do. The only problem is I'm looking around like this. I've got the 130 years war figure which I was going to paint as a tutorial anyway. I've got some French Perry plastic 28mm which I'm going to be painting up as Swiss when this commission's done, because I really don't want to do another French line infantry just yet. And I've also got some ABs I'm going to be painting up as well. But I can't believe it, I haven't got another like breastplated helmet type of thing to do. I'm going to have one last raid through all my boxes of odds and sods just to see. You'd think I would have, but I can't come into my head if I've got any more of those type of figures. So I will do that. It's just when I've got something to actually paint for you. And there's other tutorials coming up. I've said I've got that 1 in 35 scale Waffen SS guy. He's just waiting. He's all primed and all that, but I just have not had the time to do it yet. I want to get some clear stuff off the bench. As I say, the tank, I want to get it done. It's not going on a diorama or anything, and then I can get that Starfighter. I'd started the Starfighter 1 in 48 scale. I'd like to crack on with that as well. But there's a lot of other 28mm war game stuff I want to be doing, and it's, as I say, it's just getting everything in a logical type of order, which isn't very good for my head, because it doesn't do logical very good. Right guys, if you're stuck with this, I can't offer you a medal, just my sincere thanks. Look after yourselves.